Surah Al-Baqarah continues its discussion of family matters, beginning with the ruling on al-ila, which is when a husband swears an oath to abstain from physical relations with his wife.
ولا تجعلوا الله عرضة لأيمانكم أن تبروا وتتقوا وتصلحوا بين الناس والله سميع عليم.
Allah forbids us from using His noble name to swear an oath that prevents us from doing good, or guards us against evil, or making peace between people. Therefore, if someone swears an oath that prevents him from doing a good deed, he should go ahead and do the good deed, and then offer the proper expiation for breaking his oath. Continuing in goodness is far more important than clinging to such an oath. And Allah is all hearing of what you say, all knowing of what you do, and He will hold you accountable.
لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما كسبت قلوبكم والله غفور حليم.
If you say the name of Allah casually, without the intention of making an oath, then Allah will not hold you accountable for it. This is known as al-yaminul lagw, which is an idle oath. However, Allah will hold you accountable for oaths you deliberately make and intend to commit to. Breaking such an oath is sinful and requires expiation, known in Arabic as kafara, which requires you to feed 10 needy people, clothe them, or to free a slave. And if you cannot afford any of these, then you must fast for 3 days. These rulings exist so that you do not misuse or trivialize the sacred name of Allah. And Allah is all forgiving, most forbearing. He is not quick to punish His servants.
للذين يؤلون من نسائهم تربص 4 أشهر فإن فاءوا فإن الله غفور رحيم.
There are times when a husband may act in ways that harm his wife. So Allah established rulings to prevent such behavior and to protect the family structure. Among these wrongful actions that were practiced in the pre-Islamic period is when a man swears an oath not to touch his wife or approach her intimately for 1 or 2 years as a harsh form of punishment. This act is known as al-ila, taking an oath to abstain from marital relations. Such behavior is displeasing to Allah because it degrades and mistreats women. This verse provides a ruling that gives the husband 4 months to reconsider his oath and return to normal marital relations. If he resumes intimate relations with his wife within those 4 months, he has broken his oath and must offer the required expiation by feeding 10 poor people or fasting for 3 days. If the vow is made for more than 4 months, the wife has the right to seek a divorce after 4 months. Allah is all forgiving towards those who fall into this behavior and merciful in providing a lawful way out through expiation.
وَإِنْ عَزَمُوا الطَّلَاقَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ.
However, if the husband refuses to return to his wife and resume marital relations, this shows that he no longer likes her and doesn't wish to continue with her. In that case, he must divorce her and not prolong this unfair treatment. And if he refuses, a judge can compel him to grant the divorce to remove this harm from the woman. And Allah is all hearing of what they say, including words uttered for divorce, and all knowing of their intentions and what they conceal. He will hold them accountable accordingly.
والمطلقات يتربصن بأنفسهن 3 قروء ولا يحل لهن أن يكتمن ما خلق الله في أرحامهن إن كن يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر وبعولتهن أحق بردهن في ذلك إن أرادوا إصلاحا ولهن مثل الذي عليهن بالمعروف وللرجال عليهن درجة والله عزيز حكيم.
In pre-Islamic Arabia, if a man divorced his wife, she could immediately marry another man without observing the waiting period, known as iddah in Islam. Then, if it turns out that she was pregnant by her first husband, she would attribute the child to the second husband. This caused significant confusion regarding lineage and parental rights. When Islam came, it forbade this practice and legislated precise rulings for divorce, so that everyone was treated with mercy and fairness. The surah presents several legal rulings related to divorce, beginning with this verse. First of all, with regard to the waiting period, or iddah, of the divorced woman before she can remarry. If the husband had consummated the marriage with her, she must observe a waiting period of 3 quru' before remarrying. Scholars have two interpretations of quru'. Either 3 menstrual cycles must pass, or 3 periods of purity between menstruations. For a woman who no longer menstruates due to her age, for example, her waiting period is 3 lunar months. For a pregnant woman, the waiting period ends once she delivers her child, regardless of how long or short that period is. The second deals with the prohibition of concealing one's pregnancy or menstruation. A divorced woman must be honest about any pregnancy or menstruation cycles, as this will affect her waiting period. This should apply if the women truly believe in Allah and fear His punishment. The third deals with the husband's right to reconciliation. In the case of a revocable divorce, known as talaq raj'i, the husband has the right to take his wife back during the waiting period, as long as his intention is genuine reconciliation, affection, and the restoration of the marriage, not to harm or manipulate her. The fourth deals with mutual rights and responsibilities. Women have rights similar to those of men. This is a universal principle, applicable at all times, in all places, and across all societies. However, men have a degree of responsibility above women, known as qawama, which concerns their financial obligations and other rights regarding divorce. And Allah is Almighty, for He is dominant over what He wills, and among His powers is that He honored women, granted them rights, and protected them. And He is all-wise in His laws, His decrees, and His arrangements.
الطلاق مرتان فإمساكم بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا إلا أن يخافا ألا يقيما حدود الله فإن خفتم ألا يقيما حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به تلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها ومن يتعد حدود الله فأولئك هم الظالمون.
This verse outlines 3 significant rulings with regard to revocable divorce, the dowry, also known as mahr, and khul'. As for the number of revocable divorces, a husband may issue 2, where he still has the right to reconcile with his wife and reunite with her during the waiting period. After these 2 divorces, he must make a choice. Either take her back honorably and treat her with kindness and fulfill her rights, or part ways with her, with goodness and decency, without harming or disparaging her. As for the dowry given to the wife, he is not allowed to take back anything from it, not even a small amount. As for the ruling of khul', if the wife does not want to continue in the marriage for legitimate reasons, then she can return the dowry to the husband as compensation for divorce. These sacred rulings about divorce, waiting periods, reconciliation, dowries, and khula are laws set by Allah, so do not violate them. Whoever oversteps these limits wrongs himself and opens the door to punishment.
فإن طلقها فلا تحل له من بعد حتى تنكح زوجا غيره فإن طلقها فلا جناح عليهما أن يتراجعا إن ظنا أن يقيما حدود الله وتلك حدود الله يبينها لقوم يعلمون.
In this verse, Allah clarifies the rulings of an irrevocable divorce. If a man divorces his wife for the third time, she becomes completely unlawful for him thereafter. They cannot return to each other again in marriage unless she marries another man in a genuine lawful marriage. If the second husband later divorces her of his own choice, or he passes away, then there is no sin for the woman and her first husband to reunite and remarry, once she completes her waiting period, and as long as they believe they can rebuild a healthy relationship based on kindness and their adherence to the limits set by Allah. Allah makes His divine rulings clear for people of knowledge, so that they may reflect upon His guidance.
وإذا طلقتم النساء فبلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو سرحوهن بمعروف ولا تمسكوهن ضرارا لتعتدوا ومن يفعل ذلك فقد ظلم نفسه ولا تتخذوا آيات الله هزوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم وما أنزل عليكم من الكتاب والحكمة يعظكم به واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بكل شيء عليم.
O men, when you divorce women with revocable divorce and their waiting period is nearing its end, you have two choices. Either take them back in a fair and honorable manner, or part ways with them in a fair and honorable manner. But beware, do not take them back with the intention of harming them, prolonging their waiting period, or restricting their freedom. Whoever does that has wronged himself, as he exposes himself to Allah's punishment. And do not treat the laws of Allah as a joke, by playing games with them or manipulating them for personal gain. Remember the blessings of Allah upon you, especially His greatest gifts, the Quran and the Sunnah, which He sent to teach you, guide you, and uplift you. So be mindful of Allah and follow His commands sincerely, and know that none of your actions or intentions are hidden from Him.
وإذا طلقتم النساء فبلغن أجلهن فلا تعضلوهن أن ينكحن أزواجهن إذا تراضوا بينهم بالمعروف ذلك يوعظ به من كان منكم يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ذلكم أزكى لكم وأطهر والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون.
If their husbands divorce them with a revocable divorce, and the women complete their waiting period, then do not stop them, O guardians, from remarrying their former husbands, if both spouses agree and reconciliation is genuinely possible. Allah instructs those who truly believe in Him and in the last day, for genuine faith prevents a believer from wronging women or restricting their choices unjustly. This rule is better for you and purer for your honor and reputation. Preventing women from their rightful marriages can lead to corruption and sin. And Allah knows the realities of matters and their consequences, while you do not know. So trust His guidance.
والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة وعلى المولود له رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف لا تكلف نفس إلا وسعها لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده وعلى الوارث مثل ذلك فإن أرادا فصالا عن تراض منهما وتشاور فلا جناح عليهما وإن أردتم أن تسترضعوا أولادكم فلا جناح عليكم إذا سلمتم ما آتيتم بالمعروف واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بما تعملون بصير.
After discussing the rulings of divorce, the surah now mentions the rulings of breastfeeding, since a man may divorce his wife while they still have an infant being nursed between them. In this verse, 5 key issues are addressed. First, breastfeeding is the responsibility of the mothers for a full 2 years, if both parents wish to complete the full term of nursing. Second, the father of the child must provide financial support and clothing for the breastfeeding mother who is divorced, in accordance with customary practice, without excess or stinginess, so that the mother can adequately care for the infant. This support is based on the father's ability, for Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. Third, neither parent is allowed to use the child as a means of harming the other. The mother should not refuse to breastfeed in order to spite the father, and the father should not take the child away from the mother to hurt her. Fourth, if the father is deceased, the financial responsibility transfers to his heirs. Fifth, there are 2 allowances regarding breastfeeding. If both parents agree to wean the child before the full 2 years, there is no sin on either of them, as long as it is done by mutual agreement and in the best interest of the child. If fathers choose to hire a wet nurse for their children, there is no sin upon them, as long as they pay the wet nurses fairly and according to what was agreed. And throughout all these matters be mindful of Allah and fear Him in all your actions, for Allah sees everything you do and nothing is hidden from Him. In the next episode, we delve deeper into some additional rulings that protect widows, honor the sanctity of marriage, and help safeguard families.